like to welcome everybody to the July Zoning and Housing Board of Appeals meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chair Tomino.
Here.
Commissioner Montanti.
Here.
Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Plaus.
Here. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting that was held in May.
I make the first motion.
Okay.
I second.
Yeah.
Chair Tomino.
Aye.
Commissioner Montanti.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Plaus.
Aye. Is there any correspondence?
I have none.
Okay, motion passes. I just want to make a general announcement to all the applicants tonight. There's 7 members on our board. Tonight, we only have 4 present. We have a quorum here. That means that all 4 of us have to approve of the application for it to proceed and be approved. So if one person out of the 4 decides that they don't approve of the project or the application, it will be denied. So you can move, you can ask to have your application tabled to the next meeting if you'd like, when there's more, ZBA board members here. And I just want to give everybody that opportunity if they thought that was necessary. Does everybody understand what that means?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll start off with the new business, and we have Kendra Beers. I think it's the 1 Atwell Drive. Property address is 25 Associate Drive.
Correct. Do I need to stand up?
Yes, please. You can sit down after.
I'm Kendra Beers-Ricaro. I'm the Vice President of Facilities at Bassett Medical Center.
Okay.
So we are looking to create additional parking between our 2 properties located at Associate Drive off of River Street in Oneonta to create additional parking for our patients and our staff. And I have my engineer here if you have any questions.
Jim Gillespie from Lamont.
Okay.
Did everyone get a plan, the site plan?
Can you just tell us a little bit about, the manner in which you're going to, create the parking? And,
So if you look at the whole set, so the first page, it's on the back side of it. Here you go. This one here is, I brought some with me too, just in case. This is if you look at this page here, this is the existing parking lot now. So then the other page that you have, it's on the back of this one, this is the proposed that we're looking to do. So we listed up in the top corner here what the existing spaces are now, and what we're proposing to do. Basically, it's most of it is in the front of the parking lot here already, kind of right up to the property line, and a new entrance. Well, no, that is an existing entrance, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's just this area in here is where we're existing looking to put parking. We're going around the back side of the building so that we could mainly put employees in the back. And do the handicap spaces and patient parking up front. Pretty simple, but this is the parking lot that the Bassett has now, so we're just going to continue the road, and there's already an existing sidewalk that comes over to this parking lot now, so we were just basically going to stripe it and for pedestrian traffic.
We currently don't have enough staff parking, so we have to lease space from Drogan's next door. So that's one of the other reasons why we want to create some additional parking on our own property.
That's pretty much it. There's not a lot to it. The drainage isn't changing. It's all just going to go the same direction it is. The only thing we're doing is putting in a culvert here. Yep, I noticed an entrance there just to go over to the existing drainage that's here. So that's pretty much it. I think when I was talking to Steve, I remember I talked to John on the phone about it. The reason for the variance was a couple things. I think Now the city tries to get all the parking behind the buildings.
Yeah.
One of the preferred areas to park. Obviously, you can't do that here at this facility. There's already parking out front, so it's just an expansion of that existing parking.
Oh, thank you.
That's basically it.
So we'll ask you a few questions.
Yeah, any questions?
Sure, great. Do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, it's fine.
Okay. How about you, Fred?
Yeah, I have a quick question. As I look at the diagram, I see on the new proposed parking lot that there's only 3 handicap spots indicated, and on the former one, there's 4. You're losing a handicap spot? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I think
1, 2, 3.
right. 3 meets the requirements. I know John could probably answer that.
I have to look it up.
Yeah, we checked that too.
Okay.
Why they had 4 spots. We can always change that if need be.
Curious why, if you're worried about patient access, why you would be losing 1 handicap spot to make room for patient parking? Sure. It just doesn't make sense to me. Also, I've been through the facility over in that area, and it's been underutilized for parking for a while. It looked like it didn't have much parking there, so I was wondering, is the use of the building changing? Are we changing it from women's health to another specialty where there's going to be a higher volume of patient flow?
Yeah, we are looking to change it to surgical associates.
Okay.
So it would change from that perspective.
And there's been consideration of adding or moving staff parking to the last row of the one associate drive with the handicap ramp. The one associate drive is filling up. Is that what I
The
understand?
last with the, sorry, with the ramp, did you just say?
Where the ramp comes down, the last row of parking, right here on Associate Drive.
Right.
This has been pretty full, and this is the reason why staff can't park here, and you're renting from Drobes, correct?
This is a parking lot adjacent to your.
Yes, that's the ramp, access ramp coming up to it. And this is going to, if I'm reading this correctly, this is going to adjoin the one associate drive.
Correct. This is just going to be one-way traffic.
Yep.
Traffic through there over to that.
Okay. I'll pass for a moment. I wanted to look something up because I got a question.
I do, actually, I just want to clarify, so is that one entrance going to remain, and you're going to add an additional entrance on Associate Drive? And an
There's 2 entrances there. I did print out some pictures just in case you really wanted to see. So this entrance here is this one. There's one here that's another one.
See, there's the one entrance there.
Right.
This is the building.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you look at it in terms of this is my concern, is that here's the building,
Right, so this
so this entrance is here. And where's this? This one right here?
No, this is.
We're going to add another entrance.
Yes, that's why we're putting in this culvert here.
Okay. And I guess, scope of vision and, traffic flow will be not hindered or,
No, there's not much traffic, I think, that comes beyond here.
well, it might if you're going to change the use of the building, so.
Right, so that's what it is.
The other question I have is you're adding the drive-through lane, that side view, it doesn't have currently a lane that goes to around the building, does it?
No.
You're adding the drive-through there too?
No, currently it does not.
Okay.
And that's going to be a one-way? Yes. Around the property? No. And excuse me, the property adjacent, who owns that property adjacent to this? This
We just own we call it 1 Associate and 7 Associate Drive.
Okay.
I don't know who owns beyond that.
That would be Gruber and Scott. They're the CPAs there, and I believe they lease out to Hanger. Is Hanger still there?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
And
that's-
that- So is the variance, John, because the property is .9 acres, and they're going to consume all of the,
Yeah, I think.
all of that, is that what we're looking at?
So they're going over the maximum impervious
Right.
for the lot size. The location of the spaces is technically in the front yard.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then when you create new parking areas, you have to maintain setback and property lines.
And this is going pretty much to my line.
It's about 5 feet away, or is it right?
It's right in the back, where we're having to go over the driveway, go around the back, it's pretty much right up to the property.
In the front as well.
Is that Drogan's property to the rear?
Behind them?
Yeah, so OSS and 7 Associates, so behind that is Trogan's, yes.
Okay.
I think there's a
There's a
fence up there too.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Is there anybody in the audience that has anything to say about this?
I think they covered all the questions.
Before we move on to the area variance, we're going to go ahead with the compliance with the seeker. I would like a motion to say that, this is negative.
I'll make a motion because that's a negative impact.
Yeah, impact, yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Monteith? Do you approve? The seeker has a negative impact.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Allen? Commissioner Fox? And Chair Domina.
Aye.
Seeker passed.
I mean, do you oppose putting the 4 handicap space back?
Yes.
Are you okay with putting the 4
Absolutely,
space back?
absolutely, yeah.
You guys have any other questions? Any other discussion about it?
Just the last again, with that second entrance that's going to be created with that traffic flow. The building's going to have a bit of a different use, it will obviously increase the amount of traffic that's going to that
Yeah, it's,
direction.
the building, sorry, I was just gonna say, so, yeah, it's underutilized right now with women's health services that are in there. It's not utilized like we want it to be, so one of the reasons, that we are moving Surgical Associates from a different location, down to this location, as far as the parking, the current parking lot could, hold those patients that would be in and out of that building on a daily basis. The bigger piece of this is just the lack of parking for our staff. So I think from the perspective of the traffic, I don't think, there's going to be a little bit more because the building will be utilized, but that's not a big building to begin with, so we can't, there's not going to be, many, many people in every hour, in and out.
And then probably should ask first question, Surgical Associates is the one that's on Main Street currently. And it helps to know,
Yes.
because I'm thinking Surgical Associates as the surgical entity of OSS.
No, Surgical Associates at 449 Main.
Okay.
We're just trying to understand how the use of the property is changing,
Yeah.
so that way.
It's still going to be clinical, still, medical, the certificate of need that we have through the Department of Health will not change. The usage of the building will remain medical, clinical space, so that none of that will change. We're just going to try to utilize the building a little better than it's being used now, and get out of a building that's not in good shape.
the spaces are actually going to be mostly all-day parking, so it's not like it's staffed.
For staff, right?
One more quick question. Are we certain that's in the 100 floodplain?
In it,
Is the property located in the floodplain?
there's a lot of, is there a map on the back even?
So I couldn't find it.
Certainly, I don't know if you've been familiar with how the seeker works, when you go through and you identify a property, it fills everything out. Yeah, so that's all a checkbox.
Yeah, that's what it was already done, so.
Exactly, so, yeah, so
I didn't look on the back.
yeah. We streamlined it quite a bit, actually.
John, are we looking just for a variance here, just for the proposed parking? Do we have to go through each one of these as a variance as far as like the front yard parking and each one, I think?
Yeah, I mean, impervious is normally planning commission, but since there's multiple variances being asked for, it comes to you guys.
So we would set up this motion to approve each one of those items with the addition of the fourth handicap spot. I would look for a motion to,
I'll make the motion to approve.
with
With the exception of the fourth, with adding the fourth handicap spot.
I second that.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Montanti,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Fouts,
Yes.
Chair Tomino.
Yes. Motion passes, so
Thank you.
handicap is approved.
I knew Fred was going to ask me.
Congratulations. Not on your variance permit, but on your motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Fred.
You're very welcome.
What happens now?
Usually, I mean, with the variance, you can move forward. Steve gets back in a couple of weeks. I don't think he's going to want to do any further review of it. So we've got plans. I mean, you've probably chosen a paving company, to do your stuff.
We are looking at one, yes.
Yeah, usually we get reviews on parking areas and stuff when they're close to needing a variance, but they don't really need a variance. Your stuff is approved. So if you're doing exactly what you're doing in here, there's no issue with us. No
Okay.
additional permits.
All right, good.
Good.
Thank you.
Good, thank you all. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, we'll move on to the next property, 22 Duane Street. Who's here representing that property?
My name is Maria Armini, I'm the manager of Landry Hill Properties.
Why don't you go ahead and talk to us about what you'd like to have done?
I don't know if you're familiar with the property at 22 Duane Street. It was an eyesore at one time, and when the owners of Landry Hill Properties took over, I can preface it with, we own Landry Hill Mobile Home Park in Oneonta. Had it since 2007 in the town. It was a very distressed property. No longer, we've done a lot to the property, and we did the same thing with Duane Street. We put a lot of money into the renovations. We did have some renters, and it just, with the pandemic, trying to remain, keep them in there to pay. People had dogs, did damage. It just didn't work out. So we are proposing to do the baseball rental from May to September to generate the income to try to recoup some of the money that we put into the house. That's what we're trying to do. I have a baseball rental right now at Southside Drive. It's part of, in the town, which we have a license for, and I've had no problems with neighbors. We would have a limit of, one side is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, the other side is a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. There would be strict rules as far as the amount of occupants, no teen parties. Most of the kids who play, all the kids that play, they have to remain at All-Star Village. They cannot be with their parents, so it's usually the family members, relatives that stay at the house. It's not the children who are playing. It's just the family members that stay while they are at the fields. They are required to stay on campus, so to speak. I don't know if you're familiar with the property, but it had a lot of problems before. The previous tenants had multiple kids, multiple adults, the boats, cars on the property unregistered. When we purchased it, we cleaned the whole property up, and it's now we've made the neighborhood look a lot better. If you have any questions, feel free.
Thank you. Ashley, you have any questions?
Who rents the property outside of those months from September to?
Well, we were thinking if we did get a short-term rental, we can maybe possibly look into the, not students at all, but maybe a professor or somebody who's here short-term. Last year, we did have a gentleman that was here working for a company. He was only here for like 8 months, and he stayed while the project he was working on, came to fruition. We are on the line, I may say, if I can say that we are literally a stone's throw from the reuse center. We have the last house on the right-hand side of Duane Street if you're coming from River Street, not West Broadway. And so right across the street is the reuse, so we're literally bordering the commercial industrial.
Thanks, that was my only question for now. I might come back.
Okay.
Thank you. Fred, any questions?
Yeah, this is currently a two-family home?
It's a multi-unit, there are 2 units side by side, 22 and 22 and a half Duane Street.
And it's currently rented out to tenants on both sides?
Right
Or
now,
that's what the current model is?
that's what it is. Right now, the owners of the property, when they come up for functions or meetings or whatever with the park, they stay there. They've had some friends stay there. We've had some, like I said, during the pandemic, we have had some renters in there, and it's just, it's hard to, and I know because I have 87 units over on South Side, so it is hard to maintain, and especially during the pandemic, we had some difficulties with paying.
Right. So the owner does not occupy any
No, not
portion of
at
it?
all.
All right,
They live in Connecticut.
okay. So, when the property was purchased, it was purchased as a two-family home and it was purchased as a rental property, correct?
Yes.
And now we want to go to short-term renting. Where is the hardship here? I'm not seeing where the hardship is in terms of, other than you trying to recoup lost income.
When we did have renters in there, it was hard they didn't pay, they did some damage, you say no dogs, they had the dogs. So this way here, the owners are, with the success that we've had on South Side in the town, having the short-term renters just week by week, and with strict rules and regulations, it would be guaranteed money that they could recoup and not accumulate any losses as far as with pets, non-payers, because these people have to book and pay in advance when they reserve.
Is there any sort of documentation that you can provide that shows me that there's a definite hardship here, other than I'm not making a significant return on my investment?
Well, the owners, I can get that to you, yeah, as far as when we've had, the tenant in there that didn't pay with the eviction notice and whatnot.
Okay. I'm struggling with trying to understand why there is a hardship here, rather than a difficulty not making a certain return on my dollar. To me, a hardship would be, the income is incapable of maintaining property where I'm still seeing that you still have this property that you could rent to two different families here.
Right, and we did that, we tried that, and that didn't work out a couple of times. And so that's where the owners are saying, well, let's try something different. Plan A hasn't worked, let's try Plan B. And then a lot of times they're using it for friends and family who are coming up, and now they see the difficulties that I have dealing with the mobile home park and the fluctuation of the residents. We want to provide long-term rentals, but we want the right people, and we have not had good luck in the past. That's why they are wanting to change to short-term rental.
I'm going to pass for a few minutes. I'm reading a little bit more on the hardship, why it's unique, and not being self-created.
Okay,
I'll come back to it.
please, any questions?
It's going to be relative to what Fred is saying, but when was the property purchased?
In 2019,
2019.
yes.
And knowing that we have so many, people that are looking for housing, I'm a little confused as to why.
Everybody, they want to come in with pets, and we say no pets. And we had somebody there that I had said no pets, and he ended up bringing in a dog, and then the dog did some damage and when he vacated in the spring. So that's why the owners of the property are, they said, well, it's just not working out with having these families in here. Everybody wants to bring in multiple people, extended family, and we just don't want that.
So you're not finding the right person?
We haven't found the right person. Since 2019.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that has anything to say? If you do, about this property, you could just please state your name, where you reside.
Okay, I just have a generalized question.
Just state your name.
Oh, Lorraine Brady.
What was it?
Lorraine Brady. I live on River Street. Just in terms of, with both of you, is the eviction process difficult in Oneonta so that she gets somebody in there who's not following the rules and they can't get them out of there? Do they have to do a year lease and then month to month after, or can they do month to month? I mean, so if she gets tenants in there that bring a dog and they say no, what can she do? Can she say, you got a month and a half to get out?
I can't really answer that question.
That's, so that's an issue. There is a huge need for affordable housing in Oneonta. I mean, absolutely. I have nothing against anybody trying to make money with their rentals, but just, is that the reason that she's going to week where they pay in advance, they're not bringing their dogs? Because when she gets a tenant, she can't get them out when they're not following the rules of the landlord. That's...
Well, she just said for a few minutes here that she's been having problems with it, so.
So that's what I mean, it's not, is that code enforcement that evicts? Who evicts?
It's not code enforcement.
I mean, but
Court system.
yes, so there's, I mean, I can understand her point of view where you get people in and they continually abuse your home, and you have to pay to fix it up, and then it is probably the only option. But yes, what are you going to do between, September and the spring? Maybe you work with Bassett or OSS. Right, that's what I was thinking about, yeah. Nurses, professor. But then 7 or 8 months out of the year, you might not have anybody in there just to get the people in there for the 5 months of baseball.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions, concerns? Is there anybody else here that's would like to speak about this? No? Okay, I'm going to close the comment, and we'll go back to the board. Do you have any other questions? Yeah.
No, I have a comment.
Okay, yeah, good comment.
Respectfully, I'm a professor at SUNY, and a lot of the students want year-long rentals. So, respectfully, that's a thing that could happen.
I would love to know how I could advertise up there, because I have not had any luck. I have people that want to bring their dogs, they want to bring kids, grandkids, and...
I have dogs, so you would want me to.
Well, not everybody, I'm a great dog owner, not everybody is a great pet owner.
But he's keeping my neighborhood, it's such a different thing,
Any other questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Are you currently renting the property now?
No, right now we have just like friends and family that come and stay. They're not renting it at all.
So the property is not leased now?
It is not leased right now. No, it is not leased.
Are you actively trying to lease the property?
I stopped advertising because I want to see, I don't want to get somebody who might be interested and then to be in a year round, and then if we do get approved for the baseball.
But by understanding the sentiment of the board right now, I can see that they have a little bit of a hurdle getting over with the fact that they're having, financial hardship here with this property. And the use variance is very hard to get, first of all.
No, I
It's a big
understand.
hurdle to get over anyways,
Right.
So,
If we weren't so close to the commercial industrial, I probably wouldn't ask for it, just because we're right on that border for that zone. Basically, it's the last house on that street, and we abut like the wooded area where the RSS project was supposed to go. So, and like I said, the reuse is right directly across the street.
we've all visited the property,
Yeah.
it seems like a nice property.
It is. We put a lot of money
It's
into
a
it.
big property as well, but, I would think you'd be able to rent that property,
Well, we tried. And somebody with the property that side of it, they don't want to pay the rent that we would like to get per month in order to recoup what we put into it.
Okay, do you have anything else that you'd like to add to the discussion?
No, unless you have any other questions.
John, is this property current with a certificate of compliance?
They are. They have a certificate. I think they have a smoke detector on
Smoke
it.
detector, so you should probably get that into the code office as soon as possible.
Okay.
Would anybody like to make a motion about this application? Well, actually, first, I think we have to go for the seeker, the same thing with this property. We need a motion to declare this particular property, this isn't unlisted action, and the seeker's been filed, and it's a negative declaration, so can we get a motion for that, please? Okay.
A second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Montanti?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Pounds?
Aye.
Chair Tomano?
Aye. Motion passes. Now I look for a motion either to approve or deny this application as submitted.
I would like to make a motion that the application be denied based on the hardship has not been self-created. For example, a self-created hardship applies to the property which was purchased through a zoning restriction which already existed. Since the property was built in 2019, they purchased the property knowing well that that was not going to be able to be zoned for a short-term rental.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
A second.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Montanti?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen? Commissioner Pounds?
Aye.
Chair Tomano?
All right. Unfortunately, your application is denied.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There are options up at SUNY Oneonta, it's just to put your name on a list.
If you send the listing over to HR, they'll put it on a list for Albany faculty.
Oh, great, I will absolutely do that.
There's also an opportunity with the Oneonta City School System, as we had a new teacher coming into town who was looking actively.
Excellent, okay.
Yeah.
You can get that information through the district office.
All right,
And
sounds
SUNY
great.
has it, yeah.
Will do, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item. It's property located at 53 Gilbert Street. Who's here representing the property? Hello? Can you state your name, please?
Samantha Westbrook. I currently own the property at 53 Gilbert Street.
Okay.
I bought the home about 5 or 6 years ago. Lived in the home for a couple years. Pretty much the same as them, although I'm not investing in the home. I sought to live in the home and improve it, which I did. I did a lot of renovations on the bottom floor. New kitchen, new bathroom, new drywall, paint, did extensive improvements to make it a higher quality building. I bought a property on Southside Drive in the last couple of years and moved over there. And I started renting out the bottom floor. It's a 2-property unit, a top floor and a bottom floor. The top floor does have long-term tenants in it, and they've been there since I bought the property. So I am looking to also rent the bottom floor to short-term rentals through the baseball as a revenue source to help me maintain the building. It's an older building. It was built in like 1930, I believe. I put a new roof on it this past year on the flat section. I need to put a roof on the back section as well, which is going to cost a significant amount of money. I have some electrical improvements I need to make to the property because it has old fuse-style panel boxes. It also has, from my electrical inspection, the inspector recommended that I update a panel that is a known fire hazard, so I want to do that as soon as I can. It also needs new windows, a lot of things that I need to do, and I need a lot of money to be able to improve the home. So that's why I'm looking to hopefully source that money to be able to improve the property. If I cannot, then it's not really worth me keeping the home.
You have any questions?
Is the bottom floor vacant right now, or is it rented?
I am on Airbnb now, and it is rented to a baseball family.
Okay. And kind of same question, during the, I guess, winter months, the non-baseball months, what's the plan for that time?
I would say the same thing. I would try to get a short-term tenant in there for those off months.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Fred, any questions?
Not to sound redundant, but
Yeah.
are you living in the house at this time?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so you're not living in the house, and you bought the house what year?
5 or 6 years ago. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
But knowing that it was zoned an R2?
I wasn't aware of
Okay.
zoning or anything like that. I was new to the home buying process, and it wasn't really my goal ultimately to do this type of rental. It just kind of happened that way after renting it out for a couple years to long-term tenants, and I had similar issues. I had one good tenant, and then I had a couple bad tenants that really destroyed the property, and I had to put a lot of money into it, kind of like she was explaining. He had 2 dogs, and they chewed up all my molding, chewed up my rugs, a lot of damage that I had to put back into the property. So that's why I looked at doing the Airbnb, to have families that are there short-term, they take better care of the property, and it's easier to maintain, honestly.
I'm pretty much going to go down the same path as I do with the previous person, knowing that there's the hardship. You went into purchasing the property knowing that it was an R2 property, and we're pretty much bound by the regulation that you have to show a significant hardship, which I don't see at this time. So I don't have any other questions at this point.
Louisa, do you have any questions?
You said it's rented currently?
Yes.
Short-term rental? Is that a process that you just went ahead and did, or?
I didn't realize that I had to do permits or anything like that. I mean, I should have done my homework, obviously, but
questions?
Can I just make a comment?
Just one second, please.
Okay, sorry.
Now we'll open it for public comment, yeah.
Okay.
Would you please state your name and then,
My name
where you
is
live?
Victoria Spataro, and I have family that owns in the 6th Ward. I used to do managing for a company in the city and own properties. That's what, it seems to be the issue here, probably like a civil or a criminal issue if they violated the lease, that could be taken up in criminal or civil court. And I don't know if you guys have a system where if there's something wrong, like New York City has 311. I don't know if you guys have a system where you can call if there's a complaint so you can deal with it peacefully instead of having to go to court to begin with. But usually it sounds like, from my experience, it's something that you can expect is going to happen if you have a loss or what they've been explaining, because I've dealt with it myself. It's just part of the business, it seems.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything else to say? No, audience? I close the public comment. John, this particular property has a current COC?
I think same thing, smoke detector maybe.
I sent that out.
Did you send it in?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board for the applicant? I think in this instance, you can see that, we're looking for some sort of evidence that you meet the criteria, for this particular use variance. Use variance is very hard to get, and, there's criteria that we have to particularly follow. We're looking for, some type of evidence that you have, financial hardship, other than just saying you're having financial hardship. If we were to actually see some numbers, things like that, that would, truly help with the, us, look at it. But,
Would something like the improvements that the home needs as an older home, if I could show what needs to be done, would that be enough that would even sway a decision?
I don't know, we don't have that evidence in front of us right now, we don't have a pro forma here.
Okay.
But I can tell you, I feel like the sentiment here on the board is one that that's what we'd like to see, so.
Okay.
We'll look at the seeker right now, and the fact that I'm just looking for a motion to, the fact that this is an unlisted action on the seeker and the seeker has been filed, and the fact that this is a negative impact on the community, and can I get a motion to? Thank you, Nash.
One second.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Montanti? Yes. Commissioner Ellen? Yes. Commissioner Pop?
Aye.
Chair Tomato?
Aye. I look for a motion to approve or, approval or denial of this application, please.
I'll make the motion to deny the application. I second that.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Montanti?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Pout?
Aye.
Chair Tomato?
Aye. Fortunately, your application was denied today.
Okay.
Thank you. I mean, the same options are out there. I guess she said that you can, email HR, assuming there's plenty of people that, are looking for properties. Hopefully you find a great tenant.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Anything that we can discuss? A motion to close the meeting?